Majumba, Matla, the Kusile coming on board, the plant maintenance. And I think that one of the good things about this intervention has been the fact that you had a minister that regularly communicated about these issues, but not just on a frequent basis every week, but also when there are problems to then go to the media and say that this is the problem that we're facing and this is what we're doing as government about it. Of course, we hope to have had, as our Secretary General said, had load shedding ended by December last year. But we are convinced that we are on the right track to sustainable address this problem of load shedding as well as energy security for the country. And, issues such as the debt problems of municipalities have been addressed, issues around Eskom's debt through National Treasury. Those are all part of the initiatives to sustainably address the problem of load shedding, but also making sure that we're energy secure as a country. The third task was around economic recovery as well as job creation. And amongst the what we said in our January 8th statement is the emphasis on industrial policy. So this year, the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy has published the petroleum bill so that South Africa can again add value and be able to ensure that it sustainably address its issues around energy as well as petrol, beneficiation around minerals, issues around the automotive sector as well as electric vehicles, and how do we create an environment for that in the country, the green economy, as well as the creative sector. So there are initiatives that have started during the year on all of these areas, and we're convinced that it forms an important platform. In addition to that, the ANC remains committed, unlike others, to the principle of Black economic empowerment. Our constitution said to us that we need to ensure that we address the historical injustice. Black economic empowerment and affirmative action are key policy instruments to be able to do that. The public procurement bill this year have passed through the National Assembly and the NCOP. An important amendments that's been made in consultation and working together with Black business has been the set-asides for Black business, for women, 40% for women and youth, so that those things are not just policy wishes, but that they're actually within the law. And we can then hold government accountable to say that your procurement bill say that you need to do X. To what extent have we been able to implement that? So we're quite happy with progress in that regard. Other areas in terms of the economy is the progress after gone through NEDLAC with the Companies Act Amendment Bill. That has also gone to Parliament. So working together with both Labour as well as with business, those have also been through Parliament. And then, of course, the question about agriculture and land reform, the expropriation bill has also passed. And we've also, as a Department of Agriculture, signed important agreements with new markets around some of our key agricultural products, Vietnam, China, etc. Because it's important that as a country we diversify our trade relationships with the world so that we don't just rely on historical areas, the US and Europe, but that we also diversify into the Middle East as well as China and other Asian markets, which are huge growing markets in the world. And South Africa needs to use its BRICS partnership to do that. This year on the economy, we've also seen the recovery, and for the first time, the jobs have surpassed what we saw, the number of jobs created in the economy before 2019 and the 2020 COVID pandemic. So yes, there is recovery, but more needs to be done to be able to ensure that we tackle the problem of, over 32% official unemployment, with a particular focus on youth unemployment. So on the economy, green shoots, but we think that more needs to be done in the coming year. And we need to have a much more decisive intervention in terms of making sure that industrial policy work, but also that macroeconomic policy serve our national development needs. Then there's the area of the task around fighting crime and corruption, as well as GBV. We've this year seen the report from government through the presidency on the implementation of the Zondo Commission actions, the reform of the prosecuting authorities and giving it more powers, the arrests that's been made and the prosecutions on the way, strengthening the legislation and the regulations in the public sector, and all of those things. But we are very clear that this is a fight that we need to be prepared against corruption for the long haul. If you look at countries like Singapore, China, the US, Europe, across the world, the fight against corruption is something that you need to make a decisive break with, as we did with the Commission Against State Capture, and then you need to be resolute about, on an ongoing basis, addressing the issues. Similarly, within the ANC, we've also seen the referral of the individuals mentioned in the Zondo Commission report to the Integrity Commission. Those that have not gone to the Integrity Commission, they have been referred to the National Disciplinary Committee, and the Secretary General is following up on this matter and will report to the National Executive Committee on those matters. But in addition to that, there's also a number of provinces that have taken actions where ANC deployees has circumvent our position against corruption, and the step-aside rule has applied. I mean, for example, 2 months ago in the Free State, and MEC were forced to step aside, and the person did so voluntarily because it was clear that they have contravened and that they therefore have to follow the regulations of the ANC. On crime, this is an issue that concern all South Africans, from households to women in their homes, girls and young women at universities, to communities, businesses. Crime affects all of us from, across socio-economic sectors. And amongst the initiatives that the police taken last year is the recruitment of the new cohort of police persons. I think it's about 2,300 that are ready, that passed out towards the end of last year. But with the census release that gave us a clear sense about what our population is now, we will have to look at the link between the number of police personnel that we have and our population, and bring it more in line with international norms. Some of the other initiatives is Operation Chanela, which the South African Police Services have embarked on towards the second half of the year, where they work together with community policing forums, with Metro Police, with private security, to be able to look at how do you have much more visible policing in hotspot areas, in addition to working together with the SANDF around the question about addressing illegal mining. But as I said, we still have a long way to go. And we do think that more needs to be done to be able to address this. But at the end of the day, crime, as international examples show, is a socio-economic issue as well. There's a policing factor, but it's also a question of inequality. It's also a question of unemployment. And we need to ensure that we address crime and the socio-economic root causes of crime, so that we're able to, as a nation, get out of this. The last two, and I'm going to finish now. I can see Comrade Mashlengi is giving me the eye. The last two tasks that we reviewed from our previous January 8th statement was around the ANC renewal, and to look at some of the initiatives that we've taken. One of them is, of course, the beefing up the monitoring and evaluation capacity of the ANC, to be able to monitor its organizational structure, our membership, our branches, our leadership accountability framework, the initiatives around strengthening our rules for selecting public representatives, And for the first time, we now have, interviews for all public representatives. There are minimum requirements, there are minimum ethical requirements that we are setting for our public representatives, so that by the time that we release to the public, say in February, the crop of new ANC candidates, we have a sense that we have cadres and public representative candidates that can represent the transformation and development agenda of the country. The final task was around the question about building a better African world, and we think that on this area we have done very well. At the beginning of 2023, we were a bit on the back foot. There were concerns about whether South Africa will be able to host the BRICS summit. You of the media were raising the question, around the question about, will we be able to host the BRICS summit, the Putin issue, and a whole range of issues. But as a country, we rose to the occasion. Standing firm on our principles that we are a sovereign country and therefore have the right to make our own foreign policy. It's in the constitution of the Republic, and the ANC remains committed to that principle. So we had a very successful BRICS summit. BRICS have enlarged. It looked at how the BRICS Development Bank can ensure that it encourages trade and industrialization of BRICS countries, including the new ones that have joined. We've hosted the political party BRICS dialogue with a large number of parties from across the world that attended at a senior level. But in addition to that, the ANC also, as well as the South African government, has also taken important initiatives around, the war in Ukraine, the initiative by African presidents to go to Ukraine and meet with both parties and say that, a continuation of this war is not in the interest of both the people of Ukraine and Russia and Europe, as well as in the interests of the broader world. The war that's happening in Palestine at the moment, and the initiatives that we've taken as a country around those things, breaking new grounds. For example, our minister and NEC member, Comrade Ronald Lamola, will be leading a delegation from South Africa to the International Criminal Court of Justice. And the last time something like that happened was in the 60s, when Ethiopia and Liberia, who colonized, took